Everybody, we've got a lot to talk about today. This Bermuda is a totally different beast than Kentucky bluegrass. Both have their challenges, that's for sure. I mean, I've only had the Bermuda now for 20 days today. So there's still a lot that needs to be done there, but there are some major differences even now that I'm seeing between both. We'll talk about that a little bit before we get all the way into the Bermuda and talk about how that's doing, what I've got it mowed at, what schedule I'm going to keep it on, and kind of what the plans are from here. So, right off the bat, the first thing that I noticed that is different is the aggressiveness between the Yukon Bermuda and bluegrass. And the bluegrass I have is the night shift blackout. I think they've changed the name, or maybe that's the new name. I don't know. Um, it does spread, but not like Bermuda. Not even in the slightest. Yeah, you're going to get your bluegrass is going to spread, but it's going to take a lot longer to fill in spaces, bigger patches. Bermuda, on the other hand, at least the Yukon, it's going to fill in big patches on its own. It clearly likes to spread. You can see that right here. This cup here is probably 3 weeks old right now, and it has almost completely taken over this pot. I call it a cup, but it's a pot. In fact, there's some tick marks on there. That's for every day until germination in this pot. Took that many days. I just do that as a little visual thing to help me if I ever need to see how long it took for something to germinate. But the difference in spread is insane. Just in the last week, a lot of the bare spots that I have are now filled in, and it is aggressively going in every direction. The growth rate is insane. And speaking of growth rate, there's something to that that bluegrass doesn't seem to do for me. It does, but not quite in the same way. The Bermuda, on the other hand, once it germinated and kind of sat for about a week like that, it truly hit an explosive growth rate that is uncontrollable. I mean, I could be cutting it every day right now, which maybe I'll do. But it hits this stride to where it just starts blowing up. As a cool season guy, I wasn't quite prepared for that. It's fine. I welcome the challenge. I'm enjoying myself. But the aggressiveness of Bermuda versus Kentucky bluegrass, in my opinion, is night and day difference. You can't convince me otherwise. I love my bluegrass. That's my baby up front. In fact, while we're talking about both species here, I think what it's going to be called now is, I'm going to call it a mullet setup. Bluegrass in the front, Bermuda in the back. Party up front, or business up front, party in the back. Mullet setup. I'm interested to see how it goes. It might be the only season that I'm able to do this. I may not make it out of winter, right? So, we might have a good summer, late fall, early fall season, and we might not make it out of winter. We do have plans for that. We'll go over that in another video when those products show up, on how I think I can winterize this Bermuda to where it will have a very good survival rate. At least that's my hope. So now with the Bermuda, get the bluegrass out of here. I am trimming the Bermuda right now. This is a little longer because I've noticed that with I don't have a reel mower yet. I will eventually move up to that, but we're going to talk about why I don't have a reel mower yet and how I can get this grass pretty short with a rotary mower. It may not look as good as a reel mower, but I've got some mods that I've done to my Craftsman that make it drag a little bit closer to the ground. That's how I'm able to get my bluegrass up front so short, is I've made some mods to the height. I don't necessarily suggest that people go and do that, but I've done it to mine and it works for me, at least for now. It'll at least let me drop down to 1/2 inch, so I'll at least be able to get this to a 1/2 inch with my rotary mower, no problem. Right now, I have my mower set at 1 inch. This is clearly longer than that. In fact, it's probably, I didn't bring my little tape measure out here, but it is probably closer to 1.5 inches is what this is sitting at. And what I've noticed is with the rotary mower, this stuff kind of lays just a little bit. I mean, it does stand up, but it's pretty top heavy grass, so the rotary mower likes to push it over, it seems like, so it doesn't quite get that 1 inch cut that I have it set for. So that's an interesting deal. Once the grass is more established, I will straight cut it, and then I'll cross cut it to see if I can get all the way down to that true 1 inch. And that's where I can see that the reel mower is going to be a huge benefit, because it's going to help churn up that grass and cut it shorter. So right now it's cut at 1 inch. We'll cut over to some videos, some footage of what the grass condition looks like, and we'll talk about that a little bit and what our future plans are for that. My backyard is in real rough shape right now. I'm redoing the backyard. We bought the house about 10 years ago, and I just let the backyard go. Focused on the front yard. Backyard was just so overwhelming for so long that I just didn't touch it. But now I'm kind of feeling motivated to get everything hooked up so I can at least host people in the backyard and have a good time back there. And yeah, let's take a look at the Bermuda grass and how it's doing right now, and let's talk about where we're going from here. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right. It's a little windy out. Let's take a look at what we're working with. So, filling in pretty good for the most part. We do have quite a few patches and things, bare spots that need to spread and fill in, pretty sparse over in here. I intentionally didn't spread a whole lot of seed through here because I still have 2 sprinklers to add in this location. I'm just going to tear it up anyways, so we've left that there. Back side of the fence is left bare for either drainage, preventative measures for spreading, and possibly some privacy trees. So you can see right here, I gotta adjust these sprinklers. We're not quite getting there. It is filling in and spreading, but it's not enough. Same in this corner. I actually don't have this front zone of sprinklers on right now, so that's where we're getting this issue from. That's okay, I planned for that. Maybe I jumped the gun a little bit, but that's fine. This whole side is going to take a minute to come in. This is all going to be pavers over here. This is going to be pavers all the way up, hexagon pavers up into here. Haven't decided if I'm going to let the Bermuda grow through the pavers or if I'm going to lock them in place. We'll see. But you can see here, let me go over here because this is kind of where it's thickest, and you can kind of see how this is. I mean, this is very thick. It's too tall. I don't want to let it go too much longer in this state because we're gonna start probably getting some browning. It looks like it's already browning in some areas. I don't want to let that creep up too far before I cut. So maybe we'll drop the deck down tomorrow and give it another chalk down. With the way this stuff grows, I'm really not worried about what this is going to look like in 2 weeks. Probably pretty full at that point. With that, some of these areas may not fill in, and that's fine if that's the case, because we'll just use our plugs, which mostly have germinated now. We'll use that to do a lot of filling in certain areas. And then this area, sorry for the mess. I haven't decided yet if this is going to be Bermuda as well or not. So we'll see. Anyways, 20 days. Not looking too bad for 20 days. Obviously, it could have been better, but there was some significant washout in these areas, which has largely started to fill in. However, it's going to take quite a bit longer. That washout really got rid of a lot of the seed in that area.